living like the winner do.
See me with the crew, had to get some food. I see you looking like you do. Had to make a move. Still I gotta grow in a Jimmy Choo. Break the rules, no you're not a fool, but I'm in the mood.
What's up, y'all? State Almighty, aka the Global Dark Skin Ambassador, repping for the bald dudes worldwide, man. May the real live on and the fake die. Listen, man, I'm back with another Rikers Island story. This is pretty current, and this has to do with New York Post article that says staffing shortage on Rikers spawning violent beatdowns, wild parties, and fatal ODs. Okay, so being that this is from the New York Post and this isn't one of my original Rikers Island stories, I'm going to do what I've been doing, which is add a little more entertainment to this, even though we're speaking on something very serious, because I want you guys to keep in mind that this is serious, but I just want to entertain y'all with my New York Post reporter voice, if you will. So without further ado, let's get to the story. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm not Brim. You thought you could live here?
A staffing crisis on Rikers Island has created a dangerous and chaotic situation for inmates that's allowed them to assault each other, fatally overdose, and post TikTok videos of themselves partying, the Post has learned. Stunning cell phone video captured inside the Bellegarde jail emerged Sunday night that shows 3 inmates viciously assaulting another, throwing him on the bed, and beating him to a pulp as he desperately cries out in pain. "Why the F are you fighting me for?" the inmate can be heard saying in the clip as the 3 inmates pummel him with blows to the head and body. "I'm not a Brim," he insists, an apparent reference to a subset of the Blood Street Gang. Okay, so if you ask me, this seems like some sort of gang initiation or something of the sort. And like I said, you know, being with the fact that there is a shortage in staffing and an increase in violence, you know, this is probably just another regular day how it goes so far. But getting back to the story, it wasn't immediately clear if the area where the fight happened was being watched by a correctional officer, but the beatdown lasted at least 25 seconds without anyone intervening to help. On Sunday, at least 33 guarded posts across the jail were unarmed and 22 officers were on triple shifts during 2 different shifts, said Patrick Ferrulio, president of the Correction Captains Association. It's a phenomenon that's become increasingly commonplace amid the staffing crisis at the jail, and it's led to inmates being unsupervised for hours on end. Just last week, a group of men at the Robert N. Devorian complex filmed a TikTok video of themselves apparently throwing a party inside a jail cell. Idiots, 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 idiots. This is what happens when you give dumb people attention and cameras. They be in jail and they just continue to expose themselves. Now, you know how they stupid and they'll expose themselves on the outside doing stupid things, but how you gonna be locked up and continue to do stupid things and record yourself? Money is not the root of evil no more, attention is. But let's keep going. The clip shows the young men puffing away on an unknown type of cigarette, drinking from bottles, and dancing while rap music plays. When the Department of Correction brass caught wind of the video after it was posted online, they responded by moving the inmates to another section of the jail. Again, no officer on post, a Rikers Island source griped about the incident. "This is regular in the jails now. Cell phones, money, and drugs," they said. On Tuesday, 24-year-old Isias Johnson was found dead inside the cell, the 10th inmate to die in the last 9 months, the DOC said. Ferrulio and the jailhouse source both said Johnson died of an apparent overdose, and the DOC said the area he was found in was under supervision. Ferrulio, who spoke with one of his members assigned to the facility, said drug paraphernalia was found close to Johnson. We have at least 3 medical emergencies a day from inmates doing drugs. I'm not sure what they're taking, but it's definitely not marijuana. I had a medical emergency in my housing area. The inmate was hallucinating and foaming at the mouth, said a Rikers source, adding most inmates have been dabbling with the synthetic drug K2 mixed with fentanyl. Okay, so what is going on with fentanyl? What is going on with fentanyl? And like, this is like a real crisis, and people are not even in arms enough about this. Like, not only are the officers not safe because they're understaffed and underpaid, and a lot of them are tired from doing triple shifts, those are the ones who are there, but it clearly states that they have an influx of K2, which is synthetic marijuana. And in my early 20s, I have smoked K2. K2 is a terrifying synthetic weed. It'll make you very paranoid, and it'll make your heart beat very fast. And they saying it's mixed with fentanyl. I'm seeing so much fentanyl going on with these drugs these days that I'm almost gonna say that the government is giving us fentanyl and they're helping with all these drug overdoses and things like that to take care of what some may deem undesirables. But let's continue with the story. He was on the floor and the inmates were throwing water on him, the source said. For how long is unknown. The Correction Officers Benevolent Association said drugs have been easily making their way into the facility because there aren't enough officers to conduct necessary searches, resulting in higher amounts of contraband. Maintaining safety and security in New York City jail begins with maintaining proper staffing levels. The number of correction officers has dwindled down to less than 7,600, including the nearly 1,300 correction officers who have resigned since 2019 because of the horrific conditions Mayor Bill de Blasio's negligence has created. COBA President Benny Bosquio Jr. told the Post, calling the situation a humanitarian crisis for staff and inmates alike. Thanks to his gross mismanagement, we are unable to conduct facility searches for weapons and drugs. Inmates aren't getting their required services. Officers, nurses, doctors, and civilians are getting assaulted with impunity, he said. On top of that, officers are being forced to work triple and quadruple shifts without meals and rest. Ferrulio said many of the jailhouse issues stem from charges to how staff can use force on inmates and the phasing out of punitive segregation, which he said has made it difficult for them to do their jobs. We're almost at a point where solitary confinement is almost non-existent, creating a dangerous environment for not only staff, but inmates who are really just looking to do their time on Rikers Island without any issues, said Ferrulio. You're putting these guys back in general population after they commit vicious attacks against correctional officers, and sometimes they put them right back in the same area, which leads to the same issue, he said. Further compounding the problem, at least for staff, Ferrulio said, is the jail's decision to house inmates affiliated with the same gangs together. You're creating an environment where you think it's safer because the inmates are not fighting with one another in those housing areas because they're all from same gang affiliation. But you created the most dangerous environment you could possibly create for 1 or 2 correctional officers to work within the dormitory or cell block area, the union boss said. The commissioner doesn't want to acknowledge this, and I know he inherited it, but he needs to change it, Ferrulio said. In response, newly appointed DOC Commissioner Vincent Schiraldi acknowledged that the agency is deeply concerned about the current conditions on Rikers Island. That is Cap, Capillary, John Capillary, Super Cap, they don't care. Reading. We are doing all that we can to address the current conditions in our facilities to improve safety and to encourage staff to return to work, Schiraldi said. We are deeply concerned about what is occurring and won't rest until we create an environment at Rikers in which people feel safe to work and live. The agency noted they will be hiring 600 additional officers set to begin next month to handle the staffing drought, and noted large portions of the team were out sick at the end of July, but didn't include any number for August or the beginning of September. And that concludes the story from New York Post. My personal opinion on it is I kind of feel like there's money tied into this, billions of dollars tied into Rikers Island, and in order to milk more money, in order to produce new jails, and of course this wouldn't only be going towards jails being made, but also a lot of money will be going into specific people's pockets. I think that the ones who have the most power at the top and have the most control over the situation, they are milking this thing for what it's worth, for all that it's worth. They could even be waiting to see if an officer is going to be killed, maybe, or severely assaulted. Maybe they're waiting for a female officer to be assaulted, but they're waiting for something bad to happen. And they probably got a bunch of new laws and stuff that's already written out, waiting to be signed once these bad things take place. Nobody's really holding themselves accountable. Everyone's blaming Mayor de Blasio. De Blasio is blaming other people. It's just getting tricky, you know. It's not safe for the officers, especially the female officers. They said they're gonna hire and start up 600 more officers. Who knows the way they're being trained? This could lead to more inmate deaths, more inmate assaults, which is gonna lead to more officer assaults, because they probably being trained in a way to be very hostile towards inmates, being that they've been greatly outnumbered. This is dangerous for everyone involved. You got inmates with illnesses who it's probably harder for them to get their medicine. You got the usual and the most problematic part of inmate life on Rikers Island, which are the gang issues, you know. I wasn't able to show the whole video because I wasn't sure if YouTube was gonna let this play. So I got, you know, slight footage, slight little pictures taken from the video, but this video is real bad, and you know, it triggered me and it took me back, you know, to being jumped myself on Rikers Island, or hearing cells get buzzed open by officers and people running into other people's cell and making them with it. You know, it's very alarming that these things are still going on, and you know, it really don't matter what laws they pass or whether they close Rikers Island down and put new people in Rikers Island. It's gonna continue to be bad. Unless you change the culture, you're not gonna change what's going on Rikers Island. You could take the people out of Rikers Island, but you can't take the Rikers Island out of people. We've all been indoctrinated, and if you've been to Rikers Island like me, you know that, you know, like, this stays with you forever. To a certain point, you may be institutionalized forever. Prayers up to the inmates that's just trying to do their job. I mean, not do their job, but just do their bid and go home. They're not trying to impress nobody. They're not trying to sell drugs, use drugs. Prayers up to those who have drug addictions and they can't get clean because there's so much negativity going on. Prayers up to them and their families. Even prayers for the most ignorant inmates on Rikers Island, you know. Specifically, you know, we're gonna speak on the Bloods, who, being that they have the most power, a lot of them are probably doing the most oppressing. So, you know, let's send energy that way, that maybe, you know, some of these brothers will come to their senses and realize that you should help your brother and not harm your brother, you know. Let's pray that some of these brothers mature. Like I said, the people who love them, you know, their mothers, their children, you know, their brothers, their nieces, you know, their sisters. These are the people who are hurting the most and doing the biz with them. Prayers up for them. This was another Rikers Island story brought to you by way of the New York Post. Like, share, comment, subscribe.